Howdy. Today is April 3rd, 2025, and I'm on Venice Beach. And it's a bit windy, so I found this little nook to shoot this little video to mark the moment. I've been up since 4 in the morning finishing the prep for the procedure I had done today, which turned out to be a full colonoscopy. And I have some wonderful news. They didn't see any cancer, and man, the doctor said to me, I'll see you in 2 years. So you know what that means. He thinks I'll be alive in 2 years. Yesterday morning, I did a CT scan and blood work. And the CT scan said pretty much the same thing. The CT scan was for my chest, abdomen, and pelvis, and found no signs of cancer anywhere. So talk about a load off. If I seem a little spacey, it's because the anesthesia hasn't completely worn off yet. So I'll keep this brief, but I wanted to, I'm kind of beside myself with this, with these events, the good news of it all. There's still that marker that they didn't test yesterday. They said that they only test it once every 3 months, and we just did it 2 weeks ago. But I've got another oncology appointment in 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, the 21st, I think, 25th. And we'll go over those, where we're at, and over these results. But I'm actually going to see if I can get that turned into a phone consult instead of a in-person meeting, so I can be on my way and free to move about the cabin. So it's been 6 years of dealing with cancer, and 3 different cancer go-rounds, and recovering from a 40-foot fall in between them, and also learning how to fly in the middle of all that. So last night I was curled up in the van between my little poop fest of getting ready to doing the prep for this procedure today, and I was just, there comes a point in all this where you realize how easily things can go one way or the other, how long it takes to recover from different things, especially if your system's depleted. And I just said out loud, I just no more, please. Just no more. So you see this tooth? That tooth was the start of this whole thing. I got punched in the face right here on Venice Beach on August 8th of 2019. And to see a dentist from the Venice Family Clinic, I had to get a referral from a doctor. And when I went to do that, the doctor looked at my mouth and said, I think we got another problem here, a little more important than your tooth. And that's what started, a month later on the 19th, 9/19/19, was when I got the first diagnosis for the first cancer, the squamous cell carcinoma in the throat and neck. And, I went through chemo radiation for that. And June 10th of 2020, after doing the chemo and radiation, starting the chemo and radiation the week that COVID started, I got the all clear on June 10th. And 2 months later, I started to learn how to fly paragliders. A lifelong dream since I became conscious at about 4 years old. And then 6 months later, the cancer came back. But this time, I was able to do a immunotherapy drug. And so far, that has kept that cancer away. In fact, at my last throat doctor appointment, they said, we'll see you in September. And after that, we're going to put you on once a year surveillance. So that's going really well. This cancer started almost 2 years ago. It showed up in on the edge of a PET scan doing the surveillance for the throat cancer. And, 2 chemos, radiation, 2 operations, about 6 or 7 procedures later, here I am, still alive. And having come very close to dying several times, all by myself in strange places. And had this really weird moment last summer. It was like 2 weeks out of the hospital from I woke up with this, shitting in a bag. And I was through all of this, parked up by where Topanga Canyon Road comes down and meets the PCH, and where Topanga State Beach is. And it just so happens that that's where the Palisades fire reached the ocean. And so I haven't been back there, haven't been able to get back there because the road is closed unless you have a pass. But it's definitely one of those, talk about not being able to go home again to a place that nurtured me through all of this. But last summer I was parked there. Like I said, it was 2 weeks after the waking up with that bag, and I had a blockage. It was a weekend, and I'd had a blockage for about 12 hours, and I knew that if I didn't do something to break it open, I was going to die. That I might not see the morning. And about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I drank prune juice. I did a couple of other things, and something, whatever it was, it broke. And the way it broke was through vomiting. I just vomited up all this stuff, and in the middle of the vomiting, I'm over this. I got this bucket in my lap, just like this, and I look up, and I'm just kind of spacing out. But right where I looked up, on the beach, there was a fire. There was this like a campfire, but there was nobody there. It was like somebody built a fire and they just left it in the middle of the beach at 3 o'clock in the morning, And so while I was, finishing clearing the blockage, I don't know, there was something about, it's like the fire was speaking to me, it was affirming what I was doing and what I was going through, because it was certainly very reassuring to see, even though there was nobody there. And I knew that it wasn't going to bother anybody because it was so far out in the sand. There was nothing that was in danger of burning or anything that wasn't meant to burn. But finally, I laid down, and I knew I was gonna see the dawn, and not to be to put, how would they say, too fine a point on it. I knew I would live from then, But like I said, that is the spot that, what was that, 6 months later, was where the Palisades fire reached the ocean. So there's something about living your life in such a way that you can't go home again, Maybe you don't know, but not that you'd want to. So from here, I see that there's flying in my future, and there's more hot springs in my future. I just spent, in anticipation of these procedures, the past couple of days, to see where I was at with this whole thing. I went up to Big Sur, to the mountain on Big Sur, and then I went over to Remington Hot Springs for the past week and a half. And if you've never been there, it's a really steep hike down to the river. It's probably about a 200-foot from where the parking is down to the river. And the first day I got there, I hiked down to the river, did my soak and everything, and it took me, I had to stop 4 times on the trail and collect myself to get back up to the parking lot. But every day after that, I was able to make it without having to stop. And the reason was because before I would start my ascent, is I spent a lot of time in the river, and that river is full of snowmelt water, So it's got to be in the 40s. And the springs themselves are, probably about 103 to 108. So I'm all about that cold plunge thing, man. I'm a believer now. I've seen the difference that it makes when I do that cold plunge and I don't. And made me so much sharper. And somebody told me that the cold plunge makes your blood rush to your organs to protect them, and that the hot water draws your blood to your extremities and your skin. So in a way, the way I was envisioning it is like going in the cold water was rushing the blood to my organs, and then getting in the hot water was drawing out the toxins out of my organs to my skin to be expelled. So I just kept doing that 6 or 9 times a day, and at 3 back and forths at each time. So I see more of that going on, and it might be time to get in the water, get in the ocean. But the Kern River was very good to me. That's where the hot spring is, on the Kern River. So one of the reasons I did that, that hot spring is at 4,000 feet. And at the last oncology appointment, I was a little concerned because my blood pressure was so high. It was like 143, and I'm like, why is that? But today, it was 122, and when I weighed myself at the gym before I went to the hospital, I was naked. I was 190 pounds. So that's a good weight. I hope to lose some more as I move around more. And I have to say that I'm moving better than I have in, like, my knees and everything feels better than it has in years. I think all the lying around, bed rest and whatnot for all this other stuff has, gave my knees and joints and stuff a chance to heal up. After having getting banged around so much from training. So anyway, that's about it. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting to say this. About a month ago, when I first came back to Los Angeles from the desert, I had two things I needed to do. One was, for obvious reasons, was to renew my passport that had lapsed while I was a year ago when I was, laid up. I have that passport for 10 years and I never went anywhere with it, The one I had before that, I had to was a replacement because I wore out the other one. Did make it 5 years before I had to replace that one. But it just, I spent 10 years without going out of the country and just focusing on my work right here in Venice. But recent events, the political situation said, in the abundance of caution, it would behoove you to have a valid passport. So I saved up my ducats and, spent the money. And I'm happy to say that I got a notification yesterday from the State Department saying that my passport is on the way. So there's that. And the other thing I had to do when I came back to LA is I needed to get my eyes examined. There's this condition called, I think it's called pterygium, something like that. There's a growth that's starting to cover my eyes. It's not glaucoma or any of that stuff. It's triggered by UV exposure. So I've been out. I've spent most of my adult life out on this beach, staring at the sunsets and whatnot. And so to slow it down, I've got to start to shade up. And the reason I'm telling you this is that I'm gonna get some glasses. Those that know me from high school know that I used to have glasses. I lost those glasses kind of on purpose when I was 21 years old because it struck me that if I kept wearing them, I'd never see the moon without them again, And I wanted to try to get my eyes better. So, I've gone, 45 years without glasses, and managed to, pass all sorts of eye tests and whatnot. But at my last and only general practitioner appointment, they diagnosed this pterygium condition and suggested that I start wearing hats and sunglasses and all that kind of stuff. So I ordered a pair yesterday. And so maybe the next time they'll be here in about 10 days. So maybe the next time I do one of these, you'll see me wearing my new eye protection. So that's what's happening with that. That's about enough for now, don't you think? So luckily in the future, or hopefully in the future I should say, there'll be less of these videos talking about my health and more talking about my art and what's going on in the world. So yeah, I don't know that I want to say anything else about what's going on politically right now, other than the fact that it's important to remember that there is not a soul alive on this planet that is not an infinite and immortal being living a very sacred mission. Nobody is here by mistake, nor could you ever be. And everything is happening for a reason. Yeah. And we love you.